Hello and welcome to another Motors.co.uk new car review. Now, the car that we're going to be looking at today is the rather striking new Toyota Yaris, but before we dive in and see what it's like, please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk channel, give this video a like, and remember to hit that bell icon so that you get notified each and every time we upload a new video. Given the onslaught of crossovers hitting the market, you could be forgiven for thinking that manufacturers are going to distance themselves from more traditional, everyday models. But oh no, not Toyota. It has brought back its Yaris with a sharp new look and a hybrid powertrain too. Now, it's always been the go-to choice for those after frugal, efficient and low-cost motoring, but can this new car deliver those existing values? Let's go and find out. It's quite a good-looking thing, this Yaris, isn't it? It's all sleek, sharp edges and protruding wheel arches. In fact, it looks a lot sportier than its rather unperformancy underpinnings would lead you to believe. Against the current cookie-cutter crop of cars in this segment, it's arguably one of the more attractive designs around. Prices for the new Yaris start from just over £20,000, and even on those entry-level cars you get a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system, you get air conditioning and you get plenty of standard equipment. So from the off, things are looking pretty good. Now, this car is in a slightly higher dynamic trim, and that means you're getting a larger 8-inch infotainment system, as well as some other additions. Now, looking at the screen itself, it's not bad. It's clear and it's easy to navigate, though it's not the most exciting to look at, and it's certainly not the most detailed. Elsewhere, things are good though. The material quality is good overall, and Toyota have thought long and hard about the practicality levels in this car, so that's why you've got storage bins pretty much everywhere. You've got a large glove box and you've got deep side door bins too. The material here does kind of remind me of my old school trousers, but apart from that, it's a well-finished cabin and it's one that you're going to be happy to spend many hours in. In the back, things are a little bit tighter, and certainly for those who are taller than 6 foot, you're going to struggle with headroom somewhat. But the good thing is that there's no large transmission hump in the middle, so those sitting 3 abreast aren't going to feel as tight as in another car. The bad news with regards to boot space is that the Yaris actually has less room back here than the previous car did. That said, on certain models you do get a clever 2-tier boot system which allows you to lower or raise the boot floor depending on your need. And of course, you can lower the rear seats flat to extend the boot space. The Yaris blends a 1.5 litre petrol engine with an electric battery and motors. Now, what Toyota has done is ensure that the Yaris can travel a little bit further and at slightly better speeds on EV power alone. That means for much of the time, it's actually travelling on electric power and you don't really notice it. In fact, the change between petrol engine and electric motor is so indistinguishable that you barely notice it changing. Now, that's a really clever move because it means that you don't really feel like you're in a hybrid. You feel like you're in a car that's just adapting to the situation. A result of that, of course, is better fuel economy and of course lower emissions, which are crucial at the moment. When we saw that the Yaris was going to be only available with a CVT automatic gearbox, there was a certain amount of despair because the CVT is notorious for being quite, well, rustic. Whenever in traditional CVT using cars you hit the accelerator, you get a big flare-up of revs and you get an awful lot of noise, but you don't really get any discernible acceleration. Now, fortunately, in the Yaris, that isn't the case. Step on the gas, there's a little bit of noise, but there's certainly not anything that you'd call out of the ordinary. One of the highlights of the Yaris, though, is the steering, because it's really nicely weighted. It's not something we would have expected from a car of this type, but certainly the added weight means that you're free to enjoy the corners, and the lack of body roll means that there's plenty of support when you do go round them. That said, it's not heavy enough that you're going to find it annoying or intrusive when you're driving around town, and it really isn't. It's perfectly suited for most situations. Also, the car's compact size means that it's ideal for parking in smaller spaces or squeezing through gaps that you do find in urban areas. The Yaris has also nailed some of the key points that you'd want from a car of this type. There's excellent visibility, the pillars aren't too thick, and over the shoulder you've got quite a wide rear screen, which means that when you're reversing you've got plenty of view to look out. The brakes do feel a little bit on the soft side, but that's our only real criticism of this car. Again, it seems like a perfect blend of being able to have an efficient powertrain with a car that's still enjoyable and interesting to drive. you don't have to forsake one for the other with the Yaris, and that's something that's really clever. The new Toyota Yaris arrived with some pretty heavy pre-existing values. It needed to be cheap to run and cheap to buy and, well, good to look at as well. Unfortunately, it's delivered on all those bases while also adding a real sense of driver connection that you just don't get with cars like this in the segment. In short, it's taken what the old Yaris used to do and built on it in quite a comprehensive way. If you are looking for a small Super Mini that is stylish and cheap to run, but still good to drive, then the Yaris should definitely be in your list. Thank you for watching this new car review, and if you'd like to see some similar reviews on some of the Yaris's key rivals, then follow the links coming up next.